This illustration deals with grounding separately derived systems in accordance with NEC 250.30 Informational Notes 1 and 2. Purpose of change is a revision, and this revision has been made to clarify that multiple power sources of the same type that are connected in parallel to form one system that supplies premises wiring shall be considered as separately derived systems and shall be installed in accordance with 250.30. Now, what this kind of means is that you're kind of connecting this in through a transfer switch. So if you look at these to the two generators to the left, then notice they are in parallel, fed in through the transfer switch and supplying the service equipment in case we should lose the utility supply. Now, one thing about it, when you, the whole key here, if you look at 250.30, is you see the transfer switch here, kind of encircled here. Notice if you switch the grounded conductor, you have to ground the transformers in accordance with 250.30 in the informational note 1. If you do not switch the neutral and you connect it in as shown in parallel with the service equipment as well as the supply from the utility, then it's not considered a system where you would ground the generator. The generator would be grounded at the service equipment and also at the utility, so to speak. Now, we'd find that in 250.30 Informational Note 2. So we've looked at the transformer now and the grounded neutral conductor where you switch it or you do not in accordance with 250.30 exception 1 or 2. Now, secondly, the transfer switch grounded neutral conductor is interconnected to the service grounded neutral, and if it's in parallel, then you're going to install those transformers permanently. Then you got to look at 250.35B as in boy, as well as 250.30 Informational Note 1, determine how you're going to ground that neutral at the transformer or at the service equipment and utility. And notice that's in the call out there, pointing to the arrow, pointing to the transfer switch. And then, of course, we see permanently installed generators, and we give you the section numbers on that that's called there, and it's the same as the transfer switch. And then thirdly, I kind of like to look at your sources parallel. Now notice these as generators, so you have to classify them. So you go to 700.2, you classify it because it has all the loads listed there in the informational note. And if you supply those kind of loads with your generators, they're emergency generators. You go to 701.2 and look at the informational note, and if you can delete some of those emergency type loads, egress and so forth, and only supply those loads listed in 701.2 information note, then you're a legally required standby generator. If you can delete some of those loads in 701.2 informational note, you can become an optional standby generator in accordance with 702.2 informational note. So that's basically how the designers will classify it. And then, of course, see, you have multiple power sources there, and we have a grounded conductor and the transfer switch that's connected to a bar. You're not switching it, so you don't have to ground those transformers is listed there. And then sizing the grounded conductor to carry fault current, then these conductors here from each one of these units is sized at 115%. So you locate your disconnects, say, or you could have mains in the generator depending on the manufacturer's spec. And then notice 250.30 Informational Note 2, 445.13. And then, of course, you would look at table 250.102 C1 if you were connecting to the windings instead of a main. If you're at a main, you'd look at table 250.122 as it tells you to do in 250.35 A and B, see? So you would kind of review the type of transformer that you have, as I just quoted to you. You would also see how the grounded conductor was either switched in the transfer switch or it wasn't switched. And then the reminder, I think, is in the note. Review 250.20, and that's when the grounded conductor at the generator is grounded. 250.21 is where, no, I'm not going to ground that, ground it all. And 250.22, if you're supplying any of those loads that are in 250.22, you can't ground. And then you go to 250.26 as applicable, and you pretty well have why a change was made here to clarify exactly kind of what they would want you to do. So hopefully then we get that. So once more now, it's a revision, and it's to clarify where you have multiple power sources and they are connected in parallel to supply the premises wiring in accordance with 250.30 and 250.35. And I think that gives you a good overall view of what has taken place here with this change by providing a revision. And notice now you could have PV systems. You know, that's over in your Article 90. I shouldn't say 90, but you would pick that up over in 690. And then you would pick up 694 for wind generators. You know, you would look at, I believe it is 692, you'd pick that up for fuel cell systems. And identify what your system is, but make sure your sections I quoted is fine by looking at the table of contents.